enthusiasts and the following sponsors. Yeah, baby! It's unbelievable! Now we're talking. Welcome to Man and Machine. If it's warbirds you want, then we have found them. So buckle up, this one is gonna be amazing. This episode, we're out in tired Victoria speaking to Jim and Jenny Wickham about their awesome aircraft. They've been involved in this hobby for years and are extremely passionate about this vast and powerful collection. Jim, it's fantastic to be here. Tell us where your passion for aircraft started.
Well, I suppose when I was 7, my brother had a bad accident and he was in the Alfred Hospital for quite a few months. And then I used to go up and see him with Mum, and next minute we see him flying these JetX aircraft. Had a capsule in it that used to go like a jet, and he's flying this around in the ward. So anyway, and he came home and we got into the radio-controlled aeroplanes he was building and them. So I just started there, and I was building model aeroplanes all the time, I suppose. And then it just came on to building a real one. I built about 4 planes, and it's got a bit out of control, but they're 4 nice planes that we've got here in the collection. These with the V8 engines in the 3 planes that I've built, and a little Spitfire which has got a 6-cylinder Jabiru. But and then we just went into the real World War II fighter, which is the Yak 9, which is it's just a fantastic aeroplane.
To have a husband come and say that he would like to buy a Yak 9, I think a lot of females would be saying, what? But I think it was a wonderful project to get involved with.
The Yak 9 was a formidable fighter in World War II, and they built 17,000 of them, and now people are starting to realise just how formidable the Yak 9 was. So we saw this guy in America who was dealing with the Russians, and he had a program building Yak 9s. So they resurrected the World War II jigs and built 9 brand new ones.
The build was done in Orenburg in Russia. The workmanship was just fabulous. And then once it gets built in Russia, which takes a couple of years.
And then they ship it to America, and then they retrofit it with an Allison V8 engine, a V12 out of like a Kitty Hawk engine, because you can't get the Klimov, which was V12 that was in the original Yak 9.
During World War II, pilots only got about 50 hours out of a V12 Klimov. So the beauty of this project is you're getting a brand new airframe, you're getting an Allison engine, so you're getting a good, reliable package, and the Allison just fits perfectly into the airframe of the Yak 9.
What sort of power do they make?
They make 1,400 horsepower, which is serious horsepower. It blows you away. It's amazing.
We went over to America and flew it and did test flying and stuff over there, then brought it over here. It's the only one in Australia flying.
Everyone knows about the Spitfires and the P-51 Mustangs. Even if you're not into aircraft, it's a well-known fighter. But when I heard about the Yak 9, I decided to do a bit of research. I was quite shocked. It's such a sharp-looking piece of machinery, and they were very formidable, weren't they? Really, as a fighter.
Yeah, they were, and at low altitude, especially because they were a very short wing and very manoeuvrable, and they could turn inside most planes. And the Germans were told not to engage the Yak 9, anything below 15,000 feet, because they were just they turned so sharp, and they were power to weight was pretty good. Yeah.
So tell us about the paint scheme. It's an iconic scheme, isn't it?
That's right. It was used by Ivan Stefanenko. He was a World War II Russian ace, and that was his colour scheme. So we decided to do that. When you look at the Yak 9, it's lovely and shiny. The artwork's probably a little bit more modern than would have been on the original. I'm very happy the way she's turned out.
And the graphic, I noticed it's a big eagle clutching a German fighter. So
That's right.
they were sending a message, weren't they? Don't mess with us.
They definitely were, and that's why we wanted to go with an original scheme, because it sort of means a bit to have that on this plane. So. And I know the airbrush artist is very modern. That was a great airbrush artist called Carsten Zimmich, who's based in Seaford. He's, as you'll see, he's done quite a few aeroplanes for us, and it just gives us that just a little bit different sort of look on aviation when you walk into our hangar. It sort of blows people away with what we do on our aeroplanes as well. It's nice when you can walk into like a shed, whether it's cars or aeroplanes, and you can say, wow, that's a bit different. It's been a wonderful journey to create every one of them, and I sit back now and I think, wow, where did all this happen? But you just go with the flow, and that's why I love to be in the hangar. I love of aviation, of course.
So what do you like best about the P-51 replica, the 502 powered beast?
I've always liked the Mustang, of course, and they were the only kit that was really available that seemed any good. I always wanted the Stuart one, which was the aluminium, and they run the big block Chev in that. And then I went under the Fighter Escort Wings Mustang, which is a fiberglass Mustang, which runs the small block Chev. To build a scale airplane, they're only sort of 3/4 scale, but to make them look scale, you've got to get an engine, and you've got to get the power to weight ratio the same if you can, and to get the proportions right. So we run an 86-inch or 92-inch on the Stuart, on the big block, 4-bladed prop, which is very comparable to the real one. You know, people say, why don't you use a V12? And I said, well, a V12 revving at 5,000 revs doesn't sound like an Ellison at 3,000 revs, you know. So the V8 comes in with more realistic noise.
There's something about that deep throaty note of a big block engine, isn't there?
It sounds pretty good, all right, and people like it in the air.
So you're a bit of a speed demon, Jim. I see you've also got an F430 Ferrari in your collection also.
Oh, yeah, you've got to wait till you're 60 years old to be able to buy one of them. I can't believe the reaction you get about Ferrari. You can have a Porsche, you can have a Lamborghini, you can have anything, but it's still not the reaction that you get over Ferrari.
I never thought I'd be lucky enough to be involved with a Ferrari. A lot of men come in here and often say to me, does he let you drive it? And Jim often says, well, she owns it. So it's quite a funny thing, but she gets a lot of interest, and she just sort of, yeah, it's a great thing.
And we've been to America and did their driving course in Italy, and it's been a fantastic thing. It's hard to drive them on the road, of course, and that's why it's a bit of overkill, but it's been a great thing to have. But I used to have an EH hold, and I used to drag when I was younger, and I used to work on all these kids' EHs, so we were pretty mad in the early days, but still try to be a bit mad, but you get it. It's a bit hard to do anything these days.
It's in the blood, mate.
HighFlex Mobile Hose Service, your complete hose breakdown and on-site service partner. HighFlex Mobile Hose Service offers a complete range of quality guaranteed hydraulic and industrial hose and fittings products. We also specialise in preventative maintenance programs such as on-site hose condition auditing, testing and compliance. With our national fleet of qualified technicians, you can rely on HighFlex Mobile Hose Service's rapid response to all of your needs. Call 1300 HighFlex, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Do you have a hydraulic background? Come and join the dynamic HighFlex team. Check out opportunities at www.highflex.com.au.
Shannon's Club, a hub for motoring enthusiasts. So join, create your own garage, share pics, videos and stories of your current and past machines, connect with other enthusiasts. Be sure to watch Shannon's Club TV with a host of dedicated motoring channels, including past episodes of Man and Machine. So jump on board with Shannon's Club. I'll see you on there. So Jim, here's a very interesting looking aircraft. Tell us about this one.
Oh, this is a Yak 52. It's built in Romania by Yakolev. Adopted a bit of American eyes to them, where they've got Cleveland brakes instead of the air brakes, and they've got long-range fuel tanks. It runs a 400 horsepower engine with a 3-blade MT prop rather than the big paddle that the standard 52 had on it, and it's got a few American instruments in it, like gauges, which they use on this one now, and this is how they make them now, made by Aerostar Romania. But these are an aerobatic plane, they're a trainer. They're just a fantastic airplane to learn and to fly, and they can do just about any aerobatic it can do. All the Yaks, they're just nice airplanes to fly. We had to decide on a colour scheme, and of course, I like the things a little bit different.
And what's the engine configuration in this one?
It's a Yakolev MP14P, which is a 9-cylinder radial. They made hundreds of these engines, and they had them in tanks. They had them in everything the Russians did.
Fascinating, the radial engines, aren't they? Really?
Yeah. Right.
So basically, you've got cylinders in a circle, haven't you? Is that correct?
All the way around. They have one master rod which sort of controls, and then you have all the others off it. But they're a very reliable engine, and they've got good power, and they sound good.
What sort of speed capability out of something like this?
This isn't very fast. 130 knots is about 150 miles an hour, I suppose.
Jim, here's an epic-looking piece of machinery. Give us a rundown.
Oh well, it's this is the Yak 9, which was built for World War II. It's a great airplane. They're very simple and they're very ruggedly built. Everything works well on them, even though it's like typical Russian. They might look a bit rough here and there, but everything works well and very, very simply designed.
Russia had a very big part in helping with victory in World War II, and quite often you don't hear a lot about the Russian side of things, with the way media has been over the years, and movies and what have you. But this is just an example of some of the superior equipment that they did have, and everything they built was sometimes simple but so robust and so strong and effective, wasn't it?
Well, so when you look at the Russian side and the Yakolev side, especially the amount of aeroplanes that they build and the type of aeroplanes they build, there's so many different types. But the trouble with this, it costs $1,800 to fill the fuel tanks up. Wow. So it gets restrictive to fly because it burns about 400 litres an hour on takeoff, and you're cruising about 250 litres an hour. Might be doing 300 mile an hour, but it's still a lot of money to fly this. It's quite expensive to run a Warbird.
Wow, what an interesting experience it is in this cockpit, this Yak 9. Very claustrophobic. I can see what these pilots would have gone through now. In wartime, you're sort of jammed in a very tight space. Obviously, aerodynamics was a very important part of aircraft design back then for speed, so super tight. Still enough room to move around with your hands and arms and controls, but one thing I noticed is that my knees are up around my ears. I'm in a very awkward sort of a position here. So I would imagine that taller pilots would have got a fair bit of cramp over long distances, but I'm sure it would have been a wild ride, and you probably wouldn't have been too worried about your feet position when you had aircraft attacking or you were attacking them. So there's so many dials, there's so many gauges. The joystick here is in a nice central position. So many levers here as well. I can't believe how these young pilots were just thrust into the job of having to fly these warbirds. But at the end of the day, these countries had no choice. They were under attack, and some of them were losing the war, and they needed to get planes up there and fight, regardless of the experience. They were losing so many pilots, it was devastating.
Coming up after the break, the Yak 9 takes to the skies.
Hi, I'm Dennis. This is my 32 and I run Aeroflow.
Hi, I'm Paul. This is my Attack 56 and I use Aeroflow.
I'm Scott. This is Blown Inheritance. Makes 1,700 horsepower and we depend on Aeroflow.
Hi, I'm Graham Cowan. For race-winning performance, I choose Aeroflow. Aeroflow, way to go.
Aeroflow, manufacturers of professional hose, fittings and a whole range of performance products to suit your vehicle. To download the latest Aeroflow catalogue, go to aeroflowperformance.com. Proud supporters of the Aeroflow Outlaw Nitro Funny Cars.
Damn, there's just no room under here.
There's no need to do this anymore when you can buy a Tough Lift hoist starting from only $24.50. With over 20 models in their range, including 2-post, 4-post, scissor lift, motorcycle and truck. They're great for storage too. All Tough Lift hoists have Australian standard certification and WorkSafe design registration. With an impressive warranty, in-house technical support and installation options Australia-wide, what are you waiting for? Check out toughlift.com.au.
I love my Tough Lift.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Kruger from On Track Accounts. Not only am I a racing fan, but I love my motorsport at every level. If you're a car enthusiast like me, come in and have a chat about your business accounts, BAS lodgements, or getting your personal tax ready. We're a small but dedicated team of enthusiasts, and we like nothing more than getting your accounts back on track. Find us at ontrackaccounts.com.au.
I can't believe Jim's actually let me fly this iconic warbird, this Yak 9. This thing is absolutely amazing. I never thought I'd ever be flying an aircraft, but the truth is, I probably never will.
Jim, you better get in here and fly this thing, mate.
Oh, no worries. Playtime's over. The Yaks are just great planes. Even the 52 and the 9, they're just great planes. They are a bit touchy on takeoff because until you get the tail up, you can't see where you're going. And when you're taking off like a narrow strip like here at Tired, bitumen here is not much wider than the wheel, so you can see the bitumen, you're nearly off it. The Yak 9, to fly the thing, it's just beautiful to fly. It's so responsive, it just flies so nice, and it's so easy to fly, and it's just been a fantastic experience for me to get to fly this. I'd never flown a full-size warbird before, so that was a bit daunting at first. I did some training with another pilot, and then I found it was just an aeroplane, and you've just got to learn the speeds and the weight and the inertia, which is the biggest difference because it's a lot heavier. You just have to respect it and learn its numbers like any aeroplane. You just feel free up there. You're just in your own world. You're just flying around, and you can look at everything, and there's no one hassling you. Or, you just feel nice to just fly around and just look at things. And as I say, you're just free up there. It's just a great feeling being up there, I suppose. I've found it a real joy to fly.
Honey, what are you doing out there?
Waiting on the next super blowout 3-day only mega sale.
You don't need a sale, you need MPD.
NPD's everyday prices are competitive, and our huge in-stock inventory and dedicated export department allows orders to arrive fast to Australia. National Parts Depot has quality parts for Mustang, Camaro, Chevelle, GTO, Firebird, Ford, and Chevy truck. Go online or email export@npdlink.com.
Working beats waiting.
A tough car needs a tough oil, and that's when you need Gulf Western Oil. It's Australian-owned, developed and manufactured in their state-of-the-art production facility. So no matter what you drive, you can be assured you're in the right hands for all your lubrication needs. Gulf Western Oil, the tough Australian.
Yeah, the P-51 Spitfire replica with the big block engine, that must be a wild beast to see in flight.
When it was doing all its testing here, I think people couldn't believe the noise of it. I still don't believe the noise of that aeroplane because it sounds like a big dragster. And in the air it looks sensational, it's got the look, and especially when it lands, I think you get that feeling of power because it does come in with a real growl. Jim's coming in over the fence at about 90 to 100 knots, so it's quite a quick landing speed. Great thing about this is it's an Australian kit. It's 2/3 scale. It's quite a lightweight aircraft compared to, say, something like Stewart. It's can fit into an ultralight category as well. I think out of all the planes Jim built, this was probably the quickest. It's powered by a 6-cylinder Jabiru. Cruise is about 130 knots, so it's got a good cruise speed. We've done a very original scheme on this, and when I was designing the colours, I actually contacted a Spitfire Antique Historical Association in England, and they actually sent me 2 pieces of fabric from their original Spitfire, which I've used to match up the camouflage.
I noticed it's got the Poland insignia on the front there. Now, in the war, some of the Polish pilots were extremely good, weren't they?
That's
in fact,
right.
They were very underrated and unsung heroes, I would say.
I think so. And I think when people think of a warbird, they think of Spitfires. And to me, it's a beautiful looking plane.
Jim, this one here looks like it means business. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, this is a Stewart 51, which is a 3/4 scale Mustang. It's designed off the real plane. It's all aluminium, this one, and it runs a big block Chev, a 502 Chev in it, and it's got a 2-to-1 reduction ratio gearbox in the front. It runs a 92-inch 4-blade prop, which gives it this
authentic appearance, and it also gives the authentic noise of the real Mustang, and the power to weight ratio would be equal to the real one with the horse. This is rated 600 horsepower. And
How big is the engine?
This is, well, it's just a big block Chev 502.
So she's not short of capacity.
Yeah, and this one's got a bit of a cam in this one too, and it's been built up engine. This one runs airflow performance fuel injection, like the NASCAR's run.
So I would gather that this would be amongst your favourites when it comes to the scale replicas.
Yeah, I like the Stewart. So Stewart was the only one I ever wanted, and I like it. And it's not quite as good to fly as I thought it would be. It's not as good as the Yak 9. You notice the weight in this thing. It's sort of,
Big engine hanging over the front.
And it doesn't glide too far. I've got to have a fair bit of power even on the landing. It's, but it certainly makes a bit of noise. Once again, we've been a bit different with the airbrush work, and I thought up the Hawkeye, and then actually we got that and painted that on, and then we thought we've got the arrows for kills on it.
It looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing. Yeah. I see this aircraft here as, if we can call it the muscle car of aircrafts, with that big engine over the front. It must sound absolutely unbelievable.
Well, it does. It's pretty noisy, and it sounds really grunty, actually.
What sort of speed capability was something like this?
This cruise is about 190 knots,
right,
which is over 200 mile an hour.
Wow!
And I thought it would be equal to the Yak 9, but it's not quite as fast as the Yak 9.
This Stewart P51 Mustang replica is an amazing beast with its 600 horsepower 502 big block Chev and its overall weight of only 1146 kilograms. When you consider its cruise speed of 215 knots, it's no toy. That's 247 miles per hour, which in today's language is a whopping 397 kilometres per hour. Whilst this aircraft is not a real P51 Mustang, it's the closest thing you'll get to it without spending the millions of dollars that the real Warbird would cost. And that's if you could find one. It's a razor-sharp and responsive machine when it comes to flight characteristics too, due to the fact that it shares many design attributes of the real P51. During World War II, Mustang pilots claimed they'd shot down 4,950 enemy aircraft. I can't imagine how some of these pilots must have felt, with most being thrown in the deep end, as time was not on the Allied war effort's side. In fact, sadly, they were losing more pilots in battle than they had coming through the ranks. Imagine how it must have felt for these inexperienced pilots, some being very young, carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. In one way, they must have been in awe of the power and the sense of freedom those aircraft provided, but on the other hand, they must have had very little time to learn the limits and capability of these machines whilst they were being shot at by an enemy that had only one goal, and that was to destroy them. I'm told that the Mustang provided a real turning point in the war, due to the enormous fuel capacity which allowed them to escort bombers closer to their destination. This, amongst other cutting-edge assets, made the P-51 one of the all-time greatest fighters.
Well, what a great episode this has been, thanks to Jim and Jenny Wickham and the Tyab Aero Club. We've seen some amazing aircraft with some incredible engines. We loved it, and we hope you did too. We'll see you next time on Man and Machine.
Next episode of Man and